how could you choose someone like Hrithik Roshan, such a good-looking, fair, handsome guy, to play a Bihari? He was horribly miscast. A Bihari cannot look like Hrithik Roshan. Dream Girls, Ayushmann Khurrana starred Dream Girl, was Islamophobic. Yeah, the film had this tagline, Raja ka beta Raja nahi banega. So why did they have Hrithik Roshan in it? He is Rakesh Roshan's son. Hey everyone, this is Rohit Raina. You're watching LeisureMartini, and today I have a somewhat controversial topic, something that I feel very strongly about. Full disclosure, I'm almost embarrassed to admit it, but I've been reading movie reviews since I was probably 15. The earliest reviews I remember reading are Mohabbatein, Mission Kashmir, Lagan, Gadar, Ashoka the Great, K3G and all. And while I judge myself for that, but I think it's cool. You have strong opinions on movies and you make a career out of it. I mean, fair enough. Why not? Why not make a career out of something that you like doing? That's a hobby for you. Having said that, the profession of a movie critic, in my view, is the most illegitimate profession of all. Let me explain you why. Let me explain you why an individual, a movie critic who has zero stakes in a film, in this multi-million, multi-billion dollar project, but gets to influence the paying audience to watch or not watch the film. The paying audience, which is the only customer that there is, that is going to be responsible for the returns that a movie producer and thousands of other people are going to get in exchange of their efforts. See, a film is not just a film. It's not just an entertainment package, right? It's a project. It's a multi-million, multi-billion dollar project. An individual invests his crores of rupees, or maybe a group of individuals invest their crores of rupees. Then there are actors in that project whose careers depend on whether the film is going to earn decent money at the box office. And then there are poorer people, there are distributors spread across the country whose bread and butter depends on how much the film earns in their territory. And then there is a movie critic, someone who is good with words, English or Hindi, whose life is not affected at all by whether the movie is a hit or a flop, and yet somehow that person thinks he has the right to influence the paying audience to go and watch the film. Alright, an argument can be made that no, a movie critic does not put a gun on a customer's head and force them to not watch a film. But then that's the way it works. If there is an opinion out there, we will read it, right? We will get influenced by it. It's a human tendency, and that's why this profession exists. Okay, tell me what's the worst that could happen if there were no critics? You would probably end up watching a bad film, right? Like, movie critic is not someone who reviews medicines, correct? The worst thing that can happen to you, that you will not have a very enjoyable experience in a movie hall. That's it, and even that is subjective. Rohit Shetty films receive bad reviews. I personally mostly hate his films, but then there are educated people with good taste in most things, life, in books, in decor, people who are very classy and all, but they love his films. Not just that specific kind of audience. People across the different sections of society enjoy. Some even enjoy Sajid Khan films, and that's the whole point. A filmmaker has made a film for you, so you go and decide whether you want to watch that film and then the subsequent film by the same filmmaker. If you really hated the film that this guy made, or the acting of the hero and the heroine, don't watch their future films. It's as simple as that. And you will often see these critics or people who defend them say, they keep a check on the quality, because you have movie critics, because you have people who criticize cinema, that's why cinema improves. I mean, you are a 12-year-old. If you actually believe in this, you really think an Anurag Kashyap or a Vishal Bhardwaj would have made bad films or unintelligent films if there were no movie critics around? They wouldn't have written the same stories, wouldn't have penned the same characters in their films if there was no Raja Sen to give them 5 stars. You think that's their audience, the film critics? No. Their audience, they know their audience. They know that their film is not going to earn 100 or 200 crore or 300 crore. They are in there for the love of artistry, not for the love of the critique of artistry. So this whole argument that has been peddled by movie critics and the similar audience, that we keep a check, we are the filter for you, the audience. It's the most dishonest argument for the most dishonest profession out there. But enough of beating around the bushes. Let me be a little more specific. Let me bring to your attention some of the reviews that enrage me, that are so dumb, and the dumbest review I can think of right now is by a movie critic who's most respected in India from over 15 years now. And some of his reviews, they just betray common sense. For example, Super 30 review by Raja Sen and by a lot of critics who had similar things to say. So the thing every movie critic cribbed the most about is, why did Hrithik Roshan darken his skin? That's racism. I know he has insulted the entire community of Biharis and implied that all of them look dark skinned, look black, and it's meant as a form of insult. Dude, do you even understand that he was portraying a real person, Anand Kumar? Hrithik Roshan was playing Anand Kumar on screen. Anand Kumar is not the whole of Bihar. He's one person who is actually a shade or two darker than Hrithik Roshan. You know, if a Hollywood movie is casting an Indian actor to play a random character, and then that film stereotypes Indians through that nameless, faceless character, I can understand. That is still racism, because this fictional character in a way represents India for some people. For some people it does not matter, but if you're offended by it, I still see some logic in your argument. But Anand Kumar is not a fictional character, he's a real person. It's like when Christian Bale is playing Dick Cheney or a boxer in Fighter, and he loses or he gains weight to look like that person. He's not fat shaming everybody who has a pot belly. Abhishek Bachchan did not fat shame Gujaratis when he had this pot belly in Guru. Jared Leto did not stereotype gays in this movie. I keep forgetting the name of that movie, for which Matthew McConaughey got the Oscar, and Jared Leto too. When you're playing a real person, you are just representing that one person. Raja Sen, Hrithik Roshan. These words were mentioned in Raja Sen's review, that he has mocked an entire community. He has implied that all Biharis look dark, they are all disheveled, and they are all poor. Are you a real person, Raja Sen? Do you understand the difference between fiction and non-fiction? Then the irony, the biggest irony of all. The people who said that an actor darkening his color to look like the character, to resemble the real person, is a racist thing to do, but in the same breath, they would add that how could you choose someone like Hrithik Roshan, such a good-looking, fair, handsome guy, to play a Bihari? He was horribly miscast. A Bihari cannot look like Hrithik Roshan. This is not racism, but an actor darkening his skin to resemble a real-life person is racism. This is not even hypocrisy. This is not even irony. I like to call it the Kangana Ranaut disorder. Then another argument that Raja Sen again put forth, that the film had this tagline, Raja ka beta Raja nahi banega. So why did they have Hrithik Roshan in it? He is Rakesh Roshan's son. Let that sink in. He actually said because Hrithik Roshan is son of a famous movie star because he came in this industry through his father. He shouldn't have played the protagonist in a film that has a tagline Raja ka beta Raja banega. I watched that review and it boggled my mind. I was literally shaking my head in disbelief that this is a movie critic who is respected nationally. This is a movie critic who I have been reading from years. Even though I should have gotten my hand. I remember when he reviewed Batman vs Superman, he said that Batman did not kill Superman only because he had the same name, their mothers had the same name. That was the conclusion that Raja Sen drew from that scene. But Super 30 is not the only dumb review that he has given. He recently reduced Awara, a very Awara of 1951, Raj Kapoor's Awara, a very progressive film. If you talk about just the representation of women in the film, the heroine is not a damsel in distress who is just a love interest of the hero. She plays a very strong-minded lawyer who defies the rules set for her life by her, almost a father-like figure, by her lover. She defies all those rules and does what she wants to do. She fights for her hero. She defends him. She saves him. But amidst all of that, there was one regressive scene in the film, in this 1951 film, and I admit you cannot ignore it. It's offensive. But if you reduce a 193-minute super progressive film to that 30-second scene, you have no right to even be in public domain. And there is Sucharita Tyagi who thinks that Dream Girls, Ayushmann Khurrana starrer Dream Girl, was Islamophobic. Yeah, let that sink in. Dream Girl was Islamophobic. I have nothing to add to that. Also, Raja Sen would review all kinds of movies, even Houseful, all Sajid Khan movies, all terrible movies, but he refused to review this film, Vivek Agnihotri film on Lal Bahadur Shastri's killing. Why did he refuse to review that film? Because Vivek Agnihotri and Raja Sen are of different political ideologies. That's his reason. That's his reason that he gave 0 stars to the previous film, the last film before Who Killed Shastri. Buddha stuck in a traffic jam. See, I understand if you don't like films, if you did not like how the film was made, but if you give a movie 0 stars only and only because it's making a political statement that you do not agree with, and there are people who will read your review, see the 0 stars and then won't buy tickets to that movie, in my view, you should go to jail. That's where we need to take away freedom of speech, freedom of expression of people, because you are taking away freedom of earning my livelihood from thousands of people, and this is not freedom of expression. I'm sorry. And I'm not even saying Vivek Agnihotri makes great cinema, but he makes decent films. His films do not deserve 0 stars. I have absolute disdain for that man. He's as big a hypocrite as an Anurag Kashyap is, as Vishal Bhardwaj is, as the Dlani is, as Kangana Ranaut is. But if I am to judge him purely on basis of his art, I think he's a decent filmmaker, and he deserves his films, his work to be reviewed on merit, not on his political ideology. And that's what it is reduced to now. And that's how movie reviews are done these days, based on your feelings, your opinions on politics, based on your opinions on social issues. Up until the point we did not know Kangana Ranaut was a Modi supporter, every left-winger had turned into a cheerleader for her. They were all rallying behind her. Nepotism was an evil thing and everybody should have been shunned. Varun Dhawan, Hrithik Roshan, Ranbir Kapoor, these people did not deserve to be in the movies because of nepotism. And then Kangana Ranaut turned out to be a Modi supporter. Suddenly every leftist is defending nepotism. It's okay, it's a part of life, it exists in every industry. I have nothing against nepotism. It's the most useless debate ever that has been going on from way too long now. But the hypocrisy of the leftists here, who would just give bad reviews to films only and only because the hero was a star kid, and suddenly they're all big and they're suddenly very open-minded, and they think that people should be judged on merit, not on who their father is. Why this sudden change of mind? And what if Kangana was still not a Modi supporter? What if she tweeted something against Narendra Modi? Nepotism would still have been an evil thing for the leftists. It's an evil thing for right-wingers now because, again, same angle. She's a Modi supporter. So cheerleading for Kangana became a job for leftists up until 2018, 2019 to now the job for right-wingers. But that's a different debate. Does not belong here.
Subscribe to LeisureMartini for your daily dose of lifestyle, movies, fashion, career, health and wellness, and everything else under the sun. Don't forget to hit the bell icon.